In 1963, Israel had come very close to building a nuclear bomb. But this deeply worried American President John F. Kennedy. He did not want Israel to develop nuclear weapons and create unrest in the Arab world. Because if that happened, the Arab countries would turn to Russia for support against America. Kennedy tried every possible way to stop Israel. But what happened afterward was beyond anyone's imagination. Whether it was America, the UK, or Russia, powerful nations played extremely dangerous games to obtain nuclear weapons. Secret intelligence operations, honey traps, and even betrayal between close allies became part of this race. Today, we will explore the story of the 10 countries that possess this terrifying power. Welcome once again to Zen TV videos. Viewers, there are a total of 195 countries in the world, and almost all of them have advanced militaries and high-tech weapons for defense. But out of these 195 countries, only 10 possess the world's most dangerous and destructive weapon, the nuclear bomb. Just imagine, in today's world, where every country competes to become stronger than the others, only about 5% of nations have succeeded in building this weapon. Some countries helped each other, but most achieved it secretly, through espionage, deadly rivalries, and betrayal. The story of how these 9 countries, along with America, acquired nuclear weapons is just as fascinating as America's Manhattan Project. Let's begin with America. Everyone knows that America was the first country to obtain atomic weapons. But did you know that the discovery behind it was first achieved by Hitler's scientists? Yes, in 1938, German scientists first discovered nuclear fission, the process of splitting atoms to release massive amounts of energy through a chain reaction. At that time, the scientific community was small, and news of this breakthrough reached Albert Einstein in America. He immediately warned the American president that Hitler could use this discovery to create a bomb capable of destroying humanity. After receiving Einstein's letter, America secretly launched the famous Manhattan Project during World War II. Scientists from America, the UK, and Canada participated in the project, and enormous amounts of money were spent to ensure Hitler did not win the race. By 1945, Germany had surrendered, and Hitler was dead. Around the same time, news arrived that America had successfully conducted its first nuclear test, called the Trinity Test, in New Mexico. America had officially become the first nation to possess nuclear weapons. Without delay, the following month America dropped the bombs, Fat Man, and Little Boy, on Japan, forcing Japan to surrender. The war ended, but a new race had begun, the race for nuclear weapons. However, America did not want any other nation to possess this technology. Now let's move to the story of the Soviet Union, or Russia. Ironically, America's own ally during World War II was the country most disturbed by America's nuclear success, the Soviet Union. During the war, Soviet scientists noticed that American and British researchers had stopped publishing nuclear research papers in 1941. The Soviets suspected that the technology was intentionally being hidden from them. So, they secretly placed spies inside the Manhattan Project and began collecting information. At the same time, America was playing its own game. American intelligence turned some Soviet spies into double agents and fed them false information. After 1945, the Soviet Union became suspicious of the stolen American designs and continued independent research. As a result, much earlier than America expected, the Soviet Union successfully tested its first nuclear bomb, RDS-1, in Kazakhstan in 1949. America's monopoly on nuclear weapons had ended, and this marked the beginning of the Cold War between the two superpowers. The third nuclear nation was the United Kingdom. Despite being America's ally, Britain also felt betrayed. In fact, Britain had started nuclear research even before America under a project called tube alloys in 1940. German scientists who had fled Nazi Germany helped them greatly. But due to limited wartime resources, Britain shared all its research with America's Manhattan Project under an agreement called the Quebec Agreement. According to this agreement, both countries would share nuclear technology equally. However, after America successfully built the bomb, it changed its attitude. The US broke the agreement and refused to share information with Britain. Feeling betrayed, Britain restarted its own independent nuclear program. Since they already had significant research and access to much of the world's uranium, progress was rapid. In 1952, Britain successfully conducted its first nuclear test, called Operation Hurricane, near Australia's Montebello Islands. At the same time, America began developing something even more dangerous than atomic bombs, the hydrogen bomb. Unlike atomic bombs, which use nuclear fission, hydrogen bombs use nuclear fusion, the same process that powers the sun. In 1952, America tested the hydrogen bomb. Its power was 450 times greater than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Soon after, the Soviet Union tested its hydrogen bomb in 1955, and Britain followed in 1957. Now comes France, the fourth nuclear nation. Some French scientists had worked on the Manhattan Project, but after World War II France initially wanted nuclear technology only for electricity generation. Then something happened that changed everything. Before 1956, Britain and France controlled the Suez Canal. But Egyptian leader Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the canal and took control of it. In response, France and Britain secretly allied with Israel and attacked Egypt. However, both America and the Soviet Union supported the Arab nations because of Middle Eastern oil interests. Russia threatened France and Britain with nuclear action, while America pressured France economically. Humiliated, France decided it needed its own nuclear deterrent. Using uranium from colonies such as Niger, Gabon, and Madagascar, France accelerated its efforts. In 1960, France tested its first nuclear bomb in the Sahara Desert, and by 1968 it had also developed a hydrogen bomb. The fifth nuclear power was China. During the Korean War in 1950, Chinese forces pushed American troops back. In response, America threatened China with nuclear weapons. Chairman Mao Zedong realized that without nuclear weapons, China would always remain vulnerable. Initially, the Soviet Union helped China's nuclear program. But later, relations between the two communist giants deteriorated. China accused Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev of becoming soft toward America. In retaliation, the Soviet Union withdrew all its scientists from China, leaving the Chinese nuclear program incomplete. China treated this as a challenge. They discovered uranium in their own mountains and continued independently. In 1964, China successfully conducted its first nuclear test, named 596. The name symbolized June 1959, the time when Russia had abandoned China. The sixth country is Israel, whose story is especially interesting. Israel is the only country that has neither officially confirmed nor denied possessing nuclear weapons. However, it is widely believed that Israel does have them. This secret might have remained hidden if not for Mordechai Vanunu. In 1986, Vanunu, who worked at Israel's nuclear facility, leaked secret photographs and documents to British newspapers. Israel, already cooperating with France on nuclear research, wanted nuclear weapons because of threats from neighboring Arab nations. President Kennedy strongly opposed Israel's nuclear ambitions. But after Kennedy's assassination, the path became clear, and by 1967 Israel had reportedly completed its nuclear program in total secrecy. After Vanunu exposed the program in 1986, Israel's intelligence agency allegedly used a honey trap operation to lure him back to Israel, where he was imprisoned for 18 years. The seventh nuclear nation was India. Indian scientists had already begun nuclear research before partition. Initially, India intended to use nuclear energy only for electricity generation. But the 1962 Sino-Indian War changed everything. India's defeat in the Himalayas forced the country to reconsider its defense strategy. Then China's successful nuclear test in 1964 made the situation even more urgent for India. India imported reactors from Canada and America under the pretense of peaceful nuclear development. However, behind the scenes, something else was happening. In 1974, India shocked the world by conducting its first nuclear test in the Rajasthan desert under Project Smiling Buddha. India claimed it was a peaceful nuclear explosion, but America and Canada were furious because their technology had been used for weapons development. As a result, sanctions were imposed on India, and India refused to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT). However, turning the test into an actual deployable weapon took another 20 years. Meanwhile, across the border, Pakistan became deeply concerned. Now comes South Africa, whose story is perhaps the most unique. Until the 1970s, South Africa had little interest in nuclear weapons. But the political situation changed dramatically. The country operated under apartheid, a system of racial segregation where whites and blacks lived under different laws. The international community boycotted South Africa because of these racist policies. At the same time, the Soviet Union increased its influence in Namibia and Angola. South Africa feared Soviet-backed movements could destabilize the country. One nation stood by South Africa during this period, Israel. Israel reportedly shared weapons, fighter jets, and nuclear research with South Africa in exchange for uranium. In 1979, the famous Vila incident occurred. American satellites detected two bright flashes over the ocean near South Africa. Many experts believe this may have been a joint Israeli-South African nuclear test. However, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, South Africa became the first country in history to voluntarily dismantle its own nuclear weapons. Now we come to Pakistan, the ninth nuclear power. Pakistan's nuclear journey began after the 1971 war with India, which resulted in the creation of Bangladesh. India's 1974 Smiling Buddha test intensified Pakistan's determination. Abdul Qadir Khan, a Pakistani scientist working at a Dutch nuclear facility, obtained secret uranium enrichment information and brought the blueprints back to Pakistan. China also strongly supported Pakistan because it wanted a powerful ally against India. Initially, America did not try too hard to stop Pakistan because Pakistan was an important ally during the Soviet-Afghan War. In 1998, after India conducted 5 nuclear tests, Pakistan responded within weeks by carrying out underground nuclear tests in the Roscoe Mountains. Later, Pakistan faced accusations of sharing nuclear technology with countries like Iran, Libya, and North Korea. In 2004, under growing international pressure, Abdul Qadir Khan publicly admitted responsibility for transferring nuclear technology to these countries. He spent several years under house arrest afterward. This brings us to the 10th and most recent nuclear nation, North Korea. North Korean founder Kim Il-sung believed nuclear weapons were necessary to deter enemies like South Korea and America. Initially, the Soviet Union helped North Korea develop peaceful nuclear energy. Later, North Korea demanded assistance in building nuclear weapons, but both Russia and China refused. North Korea secretly continued its nuclear program but struggled for decades. Some experts believe Pakistan and North Korea later exchanged missile and nuclear technology. North Korea reportedly provided missile designs, while Pakistan allegedly shared uranium enrichment knowledge. In October 2006, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test. The explosion was relatively small, leading many to believe it had partially failed. But in 2009, North Korea carried out a much more powerful test, producing seismic activity measured at magnitude 5 on the Richter scale. North Korea thus became the world's latest nuclear weapons state. But will it be the last? Probably not. Many believe Iran could be next. Israel, currently the Middle East's only nuclear power, strongly opposes Iran's nuclear ambitions. And if Iran succeeds, Saudi Arabia may follow. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has repeatedly stated that if Iran develops nuclear weapons, Saudi Arabia will not stay behind. We hope you enjoyed this Zen TV video. Thank you very much for your love and support through your comments. See you again in the next amazing video.